Hello out there in Facebook land. This is Leslie from the Live Animal Program here at the Natural History Museum, and I'm really excited to be with you today. I have a very popular, very well-loved animal with me. His name is Odin. He's a Western Screech Owl. You might have seen him before in some of our other videos or some of our posts. Everyone loves Odin. Now, Odin is actually a really lucky bird. Excuse me. He was injured in the wild, and he injured one of his eyes, possibly hit by a car, and he was rescued by the Ojai Raptor Center. So he was able to come here in the lap of luxury and have everything he needs provided for him. And all he has to do is help our museum visitors understand their wild neighbors a little bit better. It's a pretty good life, actually. Now, when I say wild neighbors, I am talking about just about everyone in North America. Screech owls are found across North America. There's Eastern Screech Owls, though, and there's Westerns. This one here is from where we are in Los Angeles, Western United States, as it sounds. So, you might not even know these guys are your neighbors, and I'm going to talk about why. How do animals hide? We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Imagine you're out for a walk, all right, in your neighborhood or in a park. If you are walking by old growth trees in particular, like oaks or cottonwoods, especially if they're kind of hollow, or even in the desert, and there's saguaros out there, you could be passing by a fluffy little family who's watching you the whole time and you don't even know that they're there. I'm going to show you. Here's one up in a cactus, right? How cute is that? So adorable. But also, here's what it looks like. This is a little bit of a glossy image. Sorry about that. There's one up in a tree, right? Especially when the trees have hollows in them and they're really old, that's what they love to hide in, okay? So, you can see they're pretty hard to see in the wild. And we're going to talk about how animals hide, okay? So if I asked you, how do animals hide? You're probably going to say camouflage, right? And that's true. But I like the word crypsis better because it describes not just the coloration on their body, it also describes their behavior and other physical traits, which I'm going to talk about today. So crypsis, cryptic coloration or cryptic behavior, is even better. Okay, so they don't just sit next to a tree and camouflage really well. They also hide themselves with their behavior. So he might sit very, very still with their eyes kind of half closed. And if you see this image here, how cute is that? How many birds do you see? There's actually two. See that poor guy on the bottom? They might sit with their eyes half closed, making it really hard to see them. And furthermore, if they think you're a potential predator, this is kind of cool. They'll compress their feathers a little bit, like smaller eyes, to coin a phrase. It's not a real word. Pull their feathers in. They will put up their ear tufts, and that helps to break up their outline. They might even cover their feet with a wing, all right? Here's Odin looking at someone walking by. Can you see how tall and skinny he's made himself? He's pulling in his feathers, he's got up his ear tufts, and he's just paying attention to what's happening around him, but holding very still. That photo that I took, probably 10 people walked by me that day and didn't see him because he was sitting so still. In fact, I do this in the hallway sometimes. He'll sit on my glove in the hallway, and staff members will pass right by him and not see him because he's not moving, he's got himself all compressed, and he's sitting very quietly. It's pretty amazing, okay? So that's cryptic behavior. So let's talk about this mind-blowing cryptic coloration that he's got, all right? Every single feather on his body has got, I'm gonna get out of the way and see if the camera can focus. There we go. 2 of his feathers here, this is Odin's molted feathers, have this beautiful pattern on them, right? Every single one is a little bit different. Now I'm going to talk about the purpose of these feathers, but I want you to pay attention to the colors as I show you different kinds of feathers. Real quick, this is not Odin's feather. This is probably a hawk. I don't actually know exactly what it is. But this is a typical feather. You've probably played with feathers before, right? Have you ever noticed how they zip together? You can unzip them and then zip them back together. When birds are preening themselves, they're often zipping their feathers back together. Why do they do that? Well, this flight feather gives them a lot of lift when it's zipped together. It also helps protect against water. But like if you were playing, have you ever done this with your hand outside of the car with adult supervision and your hand is kind of closed up like this? You're going to get more lift, right, when your hand is closed than if it's open. Or you could even do this right now. Fan yourself. All right. Your hand is closed, you're going to move more air than if your hand is open, right? That closed up feather gives them quick lift, okay? Now here's what's interesting about that. So that lift comes at the cost of being noisy for most birds. Whoops. If you were walking in a flock of pigeons, right? If you walked up to a flock of pigeons, they're flying around, and you closed your eyes, you could still hear them, right? Because they're flapping. They're day-active animals. So they have these feathers that make noise, these wings that make noise, and it doesn't bother them because they're active during the day anyway. Their predators can see them. Now an owl who operates when? Day? Night? Operates at night? He doesn't want to be seen, thank you very much. He doesn't want to be heard, thank you very much. So in his amazing cryptic bag of tricks, he has silent flight. Now it's a little hard to see on these feathers, but the leading edge of his flight feathers has a fringe on it. Can you see that comb there? That fringe, that comb, helps break up that airstream to make it quieter. Pretty cool, right? So that he can have silent flight. Even the feathers themselves are covered in these tiny velvety little hairs that help, again, muffle the sound to give him silent flight. Now, why does he want silent flight? Of course, because he is a cryptic little hunter. So this mouse clearly does not hear him coming. Right? They basically just appear out of nowhere when you're a prey item anyway. How cool is that? So I'm going to show you a couple other feathers. All right, these are, again, I'm going to get out of the way, his downy feathers. Don't they look so soft? Because they're really soft. In fact, I do this all the time when kids are here. I miss having people here. I have them put out their hands and close their eyes, and I can touch them with it, and they don't even know they're being touched. That's how soft these downy feathers are. So what are these for? Can you guess? To keep him warm, right? That's basically what down is really good for. But do you notice, again, beautiful patterning, each one a little bit different. One more really cute, adorable feather to show you. This is going to be hard because it's really small. It's this little feather from his face. Is that the cutest thing you've ever seen? How tiny is that? So these facial feathers in a lot of owls help them sense the world around them. Here's Odin lifting up some of his facial feathers to sense someone walking by. He's got his ear tufts up and those little feathers on his face. You can almost see what looks like whiskers too. That's called phylloplumage. We'll see if Odin wants to come close to the camera. Oh, he's got his eye on someone in the hallway. I'll show you in a second. So those little feathers help him sense the world. They probably keep him cooled off when he's hot. They spread him out. Or if he's cold, he can cover his nostrils or stand them up to sense the world. Imagine if you cupped your hand around your ears. Can you hear a little bit better when you do that? That's how an owl's facial feathers and some a facial disc like the barn owl help him hear better. I'm going to see if I can get Odin to look right at you guys, and you can see he's about to molt one of those teeny weeny little feathers. Oh, there we go. Focus, camera. All right, he's not in the mood to look. I know, Odin, you got your eye on something else. Oh, you can kind of see that feather sticking out. Isn't that cute? Anywho, so all these different feathers sort of operate together in this beautiful mosaic that starts with these outer flight feathers, right, and go all the way down to the downy feathers and little facial feathers, each providing this amazing cryptic coloration. Combine that with his cryptic behavior, and you are going to be hard-pressed to see one in the wild. Let's see if I can do this with Odin. Now you see him. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now you don't. How cool is that? Unless he looks at you, he is extremely well camouflaged. Such amazing little birds. So, last thing I wanted to share with you is you might ask me, well, how do I know if there's one in my neighborhood if I can't see them? Any guesses how you might know if there's owls in your neighborhood? You might hear them, right? What they're famous for. Especially if you're walking at dusk or at night, you might hear them hoot, okay? Now, if I asked you to make a hoot call or an owl call, you might go whoo, 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 whoo. What did you think? Was that good? He wasn't worried because that's actually the call of the great horned owl, his predator. That's what they look like. I didn't do a good enough job. He didn't care. Now, one of the reasons they're so common when you ask what an owl sounds like is because these guys are found around human habitats a lot. They're very tolerant of us. They are tigers of the sky is what they're called. They can hunt just about anything. They're incredible, including screech owls. So, what does screech owls sound like? I'm going to do my best, okay? They're described as a whinny or a bouncing ball, or some describe it as hollow toots, which I think is adorable. All right, here we go. I get a little out of breath doing that. You can check up on me now on our Live Animal Instagram page at NHMLA_Live Animals. We have actual footage of Odin calling, so you can check on me and see if I did a very good job. But you can also go to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's page called All About Birds and hear all different bird calls and all different owl calls and watch behaviors. It's so fun to hear the different calls out there. I really want to thank you for joining me today and Odin. Now, in future episodes, I'll bring Odin back because there's so much more to talk about. How they sense the world, how they hunt, so many cool things. Be sure to join us next time. Thanks again. See you again for Lunch with Live Animals.